As I get older and watch my kids grow, I find myself feeling a lot more reflective. And although that means that I'm easier to spot when I'm riding my bike at night, it does also mean that I spend a lot more time in my own head thinking about things. And one of the things that's been on my mind a lot lately is how different things feel as you grow up. And gaming is certainly not safe from those changes. Though I do want to stress that this isn't intended to be some deep, super depressing video of introspection and me crying over how the magic is dead, but more just a comparison of the two sides, the positives and the negatives. Now, it's going to be a very personal video to my experiences becoming an adult as a gamer, but by the end, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Let me know how things are different for you and how your habits have changed over the years, or if your tastes have changed. And with that out of the way, we'll get to the first and probably most obvious difference, which is time. Although it doesn't feel like it when you're young, the amount of time you have to play games is absolutely ludicrous compared to when you're an adult, especially when you consider how much time you actually have off of school because of school holidays and such. I mean, I remember when I was in school, and we used to finish at around 3:30, so all I could think about was if I got home at 4 o'clock, that could still be another 4 or 5 hours of game time. And that's not including the entire weekends I'd spend playing the next Elder Scrolls or Fallout game, only taking breaks to stuff a microwave meal in my face. But then you become an adult and you have to get a job, a home, cook yourself dinner, visit family, and God forbid you have children to look after 24 hours a day. Now I feel lucky if I get to spend 4 or 5 hours a week playing games, unless I decide to stay up all night, and then I feel physically and mentally awful the next day because my body just can't handle it anymore. But on the flip side of that, I feel I take the time to really enjoy what little time I actually do spend playing video games now, and my interest for deep narratives and intricate lore has grown, so I actually take in all the smaller parts within a game. But also, I've grown an appreciation for shorter and more focused games like Little Nightmares, What Remains of Edith Finch, and Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. That doesn't mean I don't still love games like Fallout and Elder Scrolls, but it's rare I actually get to finish them nowadays. And it's nice to start a game and know I'll finish it before my child's next birthday. And now on to the next difference that I think most people will think about, is money. When I was a tiny little snot goblin, the only time I ever really got a new game was around my birthday or Christmas, unless the gods happened to be smiling down on me, and my obsessive whining of "please mum, I'll do the washing up for 2 weeks if you buy me this game" actually worked. But what that did mean is that I appreciated the few amount of games I had more. I couldn't imagine going through a game like Oblivion, GTA 4 or Metal Gear Solid 3 now, and having the amount of playthroughs that I did, or finding every single Easter egg or unlocking all the special items as an adult. I'd love to be able to, but sadly I'm not a 9th level wizard with time stop. But being an adult does mean that I can buy any game I want with only my overdraft to stop me. On to my third difference. This is definitely where I start to get a bit more personal, as you could find yourself on the complete opposite side of the coin to me. But the way I socialise in games has changed a lot since I've got older. I remember being sat for hours playing stuff like GoldenEye or Time Splitters with my older brothers, or when I was a little older playing online games like Modern Warfare and Battlefield, either with friends from school or complete total strangers. And it was so much fun making new friends or listening to how many people on the internet have banged my mum or are going to hack my account, or even playing co-op games like Fable or Two Worlds, joining up with some total randoms to help me find rare items or give me potions that make me totally OP, not having a care in the world as to whether the stranger is some sort of saint sent to help me, or a complete weirdo looking up my address. But now that I'm older, it's rare that I even play an online game, let alone want to sit with my headset on and actually talk to people. Don't get me wrong, I am partial to a game of Rocket League, and I will stick my headset on if I fancy a game of Rainbow Six Siege, but it's rare that I really do that now. More often than not, if I'm playing a game with someone, it's either with my kids, where I'm trying my best not to absolutely destroy them in a fighting or racing game, or carrying them through a co-op game like Little Big Planet. And when I do play with an adult, I'm usually playing something like Baldur's Gate 3 with my wife, or we like to sit together and go through the Dark Pictures or Life is Strange games together and argue over what we should do next. I still very much enjoy those things, but it's vastly different to how I used to play. Speaking of how I used to play, my tastes have changed a lot over the years too. Now, speaking to some of my friends, it seems like a 50-50 split as to whether your tastes grow or you end up sticking to a specific genre that you've grown attached to. For example, I know a guy that when we were kids was a big fan of games like Street Fighter and Tekken, as well as Need for Speed and Burnout. But now he pretty much only plays the latest COD, whereas I seem to have grown a bit of a wider interest in genres. As a child, I had no interest in games like Total War or Age of Empires because they just seemed like dad games. And simulation or management games like Stardew Valley or 2 Point Hospital just seemed like boring, busy work. But now I love them. Probably because it's the only sense of organisation I have in my life, but I digress. I don't think either one is good or bad, it's just sort of how you grow as a person, but an interesting difference nonetheless. So, the next thing I want to talk about is quality. I feel like when I was a kid, the quality of games bothered me a lot less than it does now. That doesn't mean I'm always looking for the greatest graphics and the most complex systems, but things like unloaded textures, awkward glitches and broken animations didn't bother me at all as a kid. Because, like most kids, my standards and expectations were virtually non-existent. But now I can't help but notice it. And if it's bad enough, it's the only thing I can think about the whole time I'm playing, which isn't helped by the fact that so many games are released barely finished at the moment. But if I'm being completely honest, there's a lot of things that a lot of people would consider bad or poorly made that I actually really enjoy, even now as an adult. Games like Deadly Premonition or films like Killer Clowns from Outer Space being great examples of that. But even I can admit that some games that I thought were absolutely amazing as a kid were actually just shit, to be honest. Backyard Wrestling 2 is definitely one of those things. First of all, I should not have been playing it at such an impressionable age, introducing me to music like Insane Clown Posse when I was like 9 or 10, and since I had access to Google, I could look up some of the more notable members of the roster, like Tara Patrick or Sunrise Adams. But also the game is honestly just really bad. The controls suck, it's clunky as hell, and it's really repetitive. But as a kid, I didn't care about that stuff. I was, and still am, a fan of wrestling. I'd done backyard wrestling, and I liked the idea of hitting people with garden furniture while listening to homies. So for all I cared, the game was a 10 out of 10. But now as I grow in age, I've come to like my games to at least run a bit smoother than the texture of my skin. So the final thing I'd like to talk about that I feel is different now that I've got older is the actual feeling you get when playing a game. It's still super exciting, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same as it once was. As a kid, it felt like you were really diving into a new existence, ready to live out a new life, fighting monsters and bad guys, stopping evil plots, and saving the world in a 3D realm that felt almost as real as life itself. But as an adult, although you still get the excitement of exploring a new world, I find that kind of immersion is a lot harder to come by. But there's still that sense of escapism, mind you. There's nothing quite like getting home from a hard day of work, or from hoarding your children around the shops and the park like they're cattle, and finally getting some time to yourself. Putting on your favourite game and being able to switch off from the rest of the world for a while. It doesn't make all of your stress go away, but it does let you put down that baggage for a little while. Now, I know that some people get it into their head that as you get older, you need to put down the controller and be more productive, but we all need something to help us unwind. And I'd argue that although I have a lot less time to play, and I don't feel as immersed as I used to, the escapism I get from playing games now means so much more. Playing games when I was young was purely because I thought it was really fun. But now that I, along with most other adults, have to go through the day-to-day stresses of house maintenance, bills, shopping, work, children, and everything else that comes with being an adult and independent. Every minute I get to lose myself into one of my favorite worlds, I appreciate it so damn much. That existential dread of reality finally fades away for a bit, and I can enjoy something I have loved since I was a kid, even if it has changed over the years. So that's just some of my thoughts on growing up as a gamer. Do you agree with some of my points, or do you have anything to add that you feel I've left out? I'd honestly be really interested to hear some of your thoughts. And also, if you could let me know if you enjoyed this kind of opinion piece video too, that'd be awesome. And whether you agreed or disagreed, I still hope you enjoyed it, and hitting the like and subscribe button would be hugely appreciated. And I'll hopefully see you in the next video.